الكاذبون.
Only they invent falsehood who believe not Allah's revelations, and only they are the liars.
وَإِن تُطِعْ أَكْثَرَ مَن فِي الْأَرْضِ يُضِلُّوكَ عَن سَبِيلِ اللَّهِ إِن يَتَّبِعُونَ إِلَّا الظَّنَّ وَإِنْ هُمْ إِلَّا يَخْرُصُونَ.
If thou obeyedst most of those on earth, they would mislead thee far from Allah's way. They follow naught but an opinion, and they do but guess.
They say that Islam is the problem for humankind. Actually, Islam is the solution to the problems of humankind. The media says that Muslims are fundamentalists. What's the meaning of the word fundamentalist? Fundamentalist means a person who follows the fundamentals of one particular subject. If a person wants to be a good doctor, he should know, follow and practice the fundamentals of medicine. Unless he is a fundamentalist in the field of medicine, he can't be a good doctor. If a person wants to be a good scientist, he should know, follow and practice the fundamentals of science. Unless he is a fundamentalist in the field of science, he cannot be a good scientist. You have to first check up in which field the person is a fundamentalist. As far as I am concerned, I am proud to be a fundamentalist Muslim. Because I know and I strive to follow the fundamentals of Islam. And I know there is not a single fundamental of Islam which is against humanity as a whole. I challenge anyone to point out a single fundamental of Islam which is against humanity as a whole. If you read the definition in the Oxford Dictionary of the word fundamentalist, it says fundamentalist is a person who strictly adheres to the teachings of the ancient doctrine of any religion. But when I read a revised edition of Oxford Dictionary, there's a slight change. It says that fundamentalist is a person who strictly adheres to the teachings of the ancient doctrine of any religion, especially Islam. The moment you hear the word fundamentalist, you start thinking of a Muslim. You start thinking he's an extremist. I tell the people, I am an extremist. I'm extremely kind, I'm extremely loving, I'm extremely peaceful, I'm extremely merciful. What's wrong in being an extremist? Why are we apologetic? Turn the tables over. Can any human being tell me it is wrong to be extremely honest? It's wrong to be extremely kind? It's wrong to be extremely peaceful? It's wrong to be extremely just? They give us the label that Muslims are terrorists. I say, in the right context, every Muslim should be a terrorist. What is the meaning of the word terrorist? A terrorist means a person who causes terror. Whenever a robber sees a policeman, he is terrified. In the same context, whenever any robber sees a Muslim, whenever any anti-social sees a Muslim, he should be terrified. Every Muslim should be a terrorist to the anti-social element. I'm aware that the word terrorist is more commonly used for terrorizing an innocent human being. In this context, no Muslim should ever terrorize any innocent human being. We should selectively terrorize the antisocial element. And we find that in history, many a times, two different labels are given to the same activity or the same person. We have the example that in India, more than 60 years back, there were many people who were fighting for the freedom of the country. When the British government was ruling India, these people were called by the British government as terrorists. But we common Indians, we call them freedom fighters, as patriots. Same people, same activity, two different labels. If you agree with the view of the British government that they had the right to rule over India, you have to call them terrorists. But if you agree with the view of the common Indians that the Britishers came to India to do business, they have no right to rule over us, then you would call them freedom fighters, as patriots. We see the example of American Revolution in the 18th century. The British government, when they were ruling America in the 18th century, there were many Americans who were fighting for the freedom. Benjamin Franklin, George Washington. By this British government, they were called as terrorist number one. America got its freedom in 1775-76. Later on, George Washington becomes the first president of USA. Imagine terrorist number one becomes the president of USA. The same George Washington, he happens to be the godfather of all the presidents of USA to come, including George Bush. And today, this government is very friendly with the terrorist government. Why? Why? First, you have to try and find out for what reason the person is striving. The media says Islam is an intolerant religion. I say yes, Islam is an intolerant religion. Islam is intolerant towards injustice. Islam is intolerant towards dishonesty. Islam is intolerant towards corruption. Islam is intolerant towards racism, towards discrimination. Islam is intolerant towards the social things which the Westerners enjoy. Islam is intolerant towards drug addiction, towards alcoholism, towards prostitution, towards fornication, towards adultery. I, Dr. Zakir Naik, say that Islam is an intolerant religion. Intolerant towards the evil of the society. Why are we afraid? Why are we afraid to call ourselves Muslims? Alhamdulillah, it is the most tolerant religion for spreading peace. That's the reason today the superpowers of the world, they're afraid. I'm talking about the politicians. They're afraid of Islam because this is the only religion that can bring peace in the world.